everybody. Welcome to my Facebook Monday. It used to be Facebook Friday, but Monday seems to be working out a little bit better these days for me. So here I am on Monday afternoon, and I'm so excited to be with you guys again. It's been a while since I've been doing Facebook Lives. I did one last week, but the goal for 2020 is to keep doing Facebook Lives and to answer your questions, whatever they may be. So sometimes people, send messages in via Facebook or via email or whatever it is, and we try to answer them. And a lot of people seem to have the question. Let me just make sure my camera is working. Hold on. There it goes. Okay. I have two. I'm filming on my computer as well. So anyway, what I'm going to cover today, a lot of people seem to be asking this question. Let me see. Of course, now that you guys are here, things are freezing up. Scroll. Trying to look at my computer. Because I took a lot of notes because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the top 10 benefits of a plant-based keto diet and how to reset and recharge. And this is actually perfect for the new year. I mean, I know some people decide to start earlier, and other people wait till actually January 1st or January 2nd or 3rd, whatever it is for you. Doesn't matter if you still want to enjoy a couple more days of just enjoying partying and whatever. This can be inspiration for moving forward. If you're like me, I already started on last Thursday. I started fasting on juices, and now today is Monday, and I'm still only on liquids. I'm drinking celery juice today and water and a little bit of black coffee because it feels good. But I didn't for the last 4 days. I just went off coffee as well. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, because today I'm going to be talking about kind of how to get your body into a mode of ketogenic diet and why it's important, especially if you have fat to lose. And you can also look at this as like a 4-time-a-year cleanse. If you're someone that's like not sure about keto, or you think, well, maybe I want to be on keto and maybe I don't, just think of it as like, so our people that do our love camp, which is now called Keto Gone Green, just come in 4 times a year, 4 months a year, and they get a reboot and a reset, and maybe they stay on keto and maybe they don't, but it's just a good way to look at like how you want to frame your year. And those 4 months out of a year can really, just that can keep you, all the things I'm going to talk about, can keep you getting these 10 benefits. So it doesn't have to be constant. So if you're someone that's like, I don't want to do keto all the time, I want to like do other things. So let's get started. So the first one is weight loss, of course. That's why most people join keto, but ours is Keto Gone Green. So ours is plant-based, and so you get even more benefits from doing it than you would just on a regular keto diet. But this is like so I researched a lot, and so I'm going to be reading some, but the biggest one is weight loss. And so cutting carbs is one of the most simple and effective ways to lose weight, because a lot of people are trying to cut fat, and what happens when you cut fat is a lot of times you get dry skin, and fat is important for our brain. Our brain is 60% fat. And you guys have heard me say this before, but for new people, this is important. And so cutting carbs is the best way. And people over and over again, like I'm hearing people on the streets, I'm hearing people on podcasts, I'm hearing people on YouTube, all claiming like all these amazing benefits, which I'm going to talk about today. So I've taken some notes just on things I've heard, things I've read, and I've kind of congealed them all into one place. So studies illustrate that people on a keto diet lose more weight faster than those on low-fat diets, even when the latter are actively restricting calories. So it's not enough just to restrict calories, you need to restrict your carbs and get those down low. This is because keto diets act to rid excess water from your body, and they lower your insulin levels, which leads to rapid weight loss. And especially in the first couple weeks, people notice a big drop in weight, and then they kind of even out. But there's a lot more benefits you're going to get than just weight loss, and I'm going to get to all that. So the interesting thing is in studies comparing, and sometimes I'm going to say the word low carb and sometimes I'm going to say the word keto. The difference between low carb and keto, if you didn't see last week's video, is that low carb doesn't necessarily restrict or have you get enough fat in, whereas keto has you, like a woman my size, 130 pounds, getting in at least 100 grams a day of fat. And I'll talk more about that too. But anyway, low carb, you could be low carb and low fat, and that definitely doesn't work, because where you're getting your calories. And it's not about restricting calories, which is great about keto. So in studies comparing low carb and low fat diets, people restricting their carbs sometimes lose 2 to 3 times as much weight. And this is the best line here, without being hungry. Because we don't want to get into a mode of starvation. We don't want to get our into a mode of deprivation, because that only leads to binging. Whenever you're on a diet, and we don't even call this a diet, we call it a lifestyle. Whenever you go on a diet, you tend to get, I'm getting chilly. You tend to get more cravings, and then when you quit the diet, which you've done for 3 weeks to get your weight off, then you go back to all your old foods. Whereas keto, the way we do it with the keto plant-based, it's a lifestyle. So you're getting, these foods that people tell us over and over again. They just use these as a regular foods. It's not anything, that feels like deprivation. So, and then also along the lines of weight loss is one study in obese adults found that a keto diet is particularly effective for up to 6 months compared to a conventional weight loss diet, which is what I was just talking about. So you just get way more benefits in the beginning with keto, and then it tends to even out if you stay on another low-fat diet or whatever it is, and a keto diet after the first 6 months, it'll even out. But that's only for weight loss. You won't get the other benefits that come from keto. So the second one is that you're going to lose weight from your belly cavity. Now, you've probably seen a lot of, especially this seems to happen in men, walking around with the pregnant bellies, even in their 40s and 50s, because what's happening is they're getting a lot of visceral fat in their belly, and then the other place they're getting fat is around their organs. And this is for women and men. I mean, I see a lot of women too that look pregnant that aren't, because they've got all this fat buildup around their middle. So keto is going to help get rid of that first. It starts with the fat around your middle, which is so exciting, because most people, that's the hardest part for them to lose. So I'm going to read some of the notes here. So not all fat in your body is the same. Where fats are stored where fat is stored determines how it affects your health and risk of disease. So the 2 main types, which I talked about, is subcutaneous fat under your skin and visceral fat, which accumulates in your abdominal cavity and is typical for a place for most people to have fat. Visceral fat tends to lodge around your organs. Excess visceral fat is associated with inflammation and insulin resistance and may drive the metabolic dysfunction that's so common today. So things like diabetes, type 1 and type 2, just insulin resistance, just poor metabolism, like lowered metabolism, all this has to do with all this fat you have on your body. The body gets really confused because we're not designed to be fat. Low carb diets or keto diets are very effective at reducing this harmful abdominal fat. In fact, a greater proportion of the fat people lose on low carb diets seem to come from the abdominal cavity. So like I said before, you're going to lose most of the weight around your middle, and then after your middle's gone, it'll start working on other parts of your body. And over time, this should lead to a drastically reduced risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. I'm going to say things a couple times because I think it's important for people to get. The third one is it reduces your appetite. I see that some people are watching, Kathy and Michelina and Liz. You guys are all love campers, which is so exciting to see you guys here. So you guys could probably attest to this, that when you go on a keto diet, it reduces your appetite. You're suddenly like, we've had people emailing us, me and Caitlin from the Love Camp, saying, do I have to eat all the food? Because I'm not even hungry. And they think it's a problem. Like, what's going on? I'm not hungry. And we say just eat as much as you need, but make sure that you're feeling satisfied and you're not going too many days on super low calories, because it will catch up to you eventually. So just get in the nutrition you need. And the biggest thing is getting in the nutrition you need versus getting in the fat. Because fat doesn't have a lot of nutrition. You're going to want to get like your vegetables in. And that's why we love plant-based keto, because we have people getting in tons of vegetables, tons of greens, tons of salads, tons of steamed greens. Especially in the winter, we're not all wanting to eat big bowls of salad. Although I still do crave my salads every day. I usually just tend to put cooked vegetables over the top. Like I'll saute up some garlic, and onions tend to be a little higher carb, so I'll go with garlic and mushrooms and maybe some kale or chard, and steam up a skillet of that and pour it over my fresh green salad with all the radishes and low carb veggies in there. and then I'll put some dressing on, or some olive oil and just a little apple cider vinegar if that's easier. But anyway, getting these greens in are going to keep you super alkaline and super healthy. And again, it reduces your ghrelin. So I'll read a little bit about this. It says, hunger tends to be the worst side effect of dieting. It is one of the main reasons why many people feel miserable and eventually give up. However, keto eating leads to an automatic reduction in appetite. And studies consistently show that when people cut carbs and eat more protein and fat, they end up eating far fewer calories. So the summary is that studies indicate that cutting carbs can automatically reduce your appetite and calorie intake. Isn't that exciting? Kathy says, so true. Brain clarity. How many of you guys have noticed that your brain works better on keto? Like I said, 60% fat inside this skull. I need to give it some good healthy fats. Low carb is not the answer. You're going to get spacey, and if you are someone watching that's fruitarian, so many people have ended up having their teeth rot out because they're like eating tons of fruit, and that's sugar, and it eats away at your teeth. I don't know anybody that's done keto that has had any issues with tooth decay. And Michelina says, yes to brain clarity. So what I've noticed for me is that not only is it brain clarity, but it's like sustained mental energy throughout the day. So my mind is clear, I can think more clearly, I have energy from when I get up in the morning to when I go to bed at night, and that's from 6 to 10. I don't crave a lot of sweets unless I start eating sweets, and then immediately those sweet cravings kick in, which is really interesting, but it figures because those are feeding the fungus in the microbes in our body, the bad microbes. So of course the body starts craving more once you start feeding it. But once you keep on a keto diet and you be fairly strict with it, you're not going to get these weird ups and downs throughout the day. And especially for me as someone over 50, a lot of people as they age, and I hear it over and over again, oh, it's just normal when you get older, like to have what they call brain farts, like, oh, I just don't remember, oh, my brain's foggy, brain fog, I can't remember things. And it's like, that doesn't have to be true at all. You can be up into your 80s and still have you ever met those people in their 80s that are super sharp? Maybe not because they're on a keto diet, but maybe they stopped eating sugar, and maybe they're pretty more strict. A lot of people as they age, especially it seems like women, start limiting their amounts of food they eat, and they kind of cut out sweets. Not everyone, I shouldn't say a lot. Some people, the ones that are sharp. And so I love the mental clarity that I get. I love how I can just sit at my computer and really get through things and have more sharp focus. The next one, I don't know if any of you guys have noticed this, but number 5 is better eyesight. What do you guys think of that? Eyesight is supposed to decline as we age as well. And I went and got an eyesight test, and I went to the DMV when I got my driver's license here in Oregon, and my eyesight is great. I wouldn't say it's absolutely perfect because sometimes I have to use readers, but you know what's funny about the readers, and I have them at like 1.5 is the strength, is I only need them if I've eaten like sweet potatoes or like higher carb foods the day before. And then usually maybe even sweet potatoes won't kick me into that mode, but if I, let me confess, every once in a while I'll have sweet potato french fries when I'm out with friends, literally like twice a year. But the last time I did it, I noticed my eyesight was really gross the next day. I was like, I can't see anything, like blurry, gunky. Probably had to do with the bad quality of oil. So it's not always the carbs, but anyway, better eyesight, like just better, clearer vision. I'm gonna get in with you guys, maybe I'll do this in the camp, in our Keto Gone Green camp. I am taking something every day right now, and it's so funny. It's called Sananga. You guys can look that up, Sananga. I'm gonna do a blog on it, and I might do a podcast on it, but feels like someone put chili pepper into your eyeballs. It's a bark from a shrub in South America, and then they ferment it, and what it does is it opens your pineal and your third eye, so you have more clarity. I have better dreams. I remember my dreams more when I take it, which I've done for the last 2 days now. And it also helps completely heal your ocular nerve. So if you have any eyesight problems, it's said, because I'll be able to tell you later, that it's supposed to heal your ocular nerve, and it's only like $20 for a bottle, and a bottle will last you probably 3 months if you keep it refrigerated. Anyway, that's a side note, but I'm all into like having perfect vision for the rest of my life. I don't want to wear glasses. I don't want to have to be like searching for readers every time I need to look at something. The only time I need that, and you guys with 20/20 vision probably can say this too, is when you got that small little supplement bottle and it's like, oh my gosh, how can anybody read these tiny, tiny letters? I can sometimes see them if I hold them up to the sunlight, but that's my only place where I notice that I really need readers. Okay, so number 6 is that triglycerides tend to drop drastically. It's well known that high fasting triglycerides levels in the blood after an overnight fast are a strong heart disease risk factor. So if you've been fasting overnight, some people do their, you go to the doctor and they say don't eat anything when you come in because we want to test you. It's called being fasted, so it's at least 8 hours. So they're saying that the triglyceride levels are super high in a lot of people, even after they've fasted. So that's a well-known thing, and that can contribute to heart disease. And one of the main drivers of elevated triglycerides in sedentary people is carbohydrate consumption. Imagine that, especially the simple sugar like fructose. So fructose comes from fruit, and fructose can be, it can come from a lot of things, but people can actually use fructose as a sweetener as well, and they think it's more healthy, but it's actually not. So fructose is also, just on a side note, has been known to put fat on your body way faster than any other sweetener. Isn't that crazy? And some people call it fructose, but so that's why I avoid fruit personally, except for I do eat berries, and I love my cranberry juice. I'll put a splash in the soda water, which is probably only like 2 carbs at a time. So when people cut carbs, they tend to experience a very dramatic reduction in blood triglycerides. And then on the other hand, low-fat diets often cause triglycerides to increase, which we don't want. So isn't that interesting? I just, like, when I was researching all of this, I'm like, wow, this is so just fascinating. Because I know I feel good on a keto diet, but it's good to have the science behind it for the people that are still wondering about it. The next thing is increased levels of good cholesterol, which is the HDL. And high density, it's called lipoprotein, is often called good cholesterol. The higher your levels of HDL relative to the LDL, which are the bad ones, the lower your risk of heart disease. And one of the best ways to increase good levels is to eat fat. Yay for fat! And low carb diets include a lot of fat. Therefore, or keto diets, therefore, it is unsurprising that HDL levels increase dramatically on a healthy, low-carb keto diet, while they tend to increase only moderately or even decline on low-fat diets. So we want more HDL, and it's saying that it declines on low-fat diets. So boo to low-fat diets. You can keep eating your fat and feel good about it. And a lot of these studies that I found are new. Like, so in the past, they used to think, as we know, in the 80s, my mom was buying everything low fat. We were eating fake sour cream and fake everything because it was low fat, because that's what she thought was healthy. So that number 8 is, and I do want to say on a side note that my mom got Alzheimer's, and she was a person that ate all the sweets she wanted, and she just tried to keep her fats low. She stayed slim her whole life. But unfortunately, she never regulated her sugar. And they were always snacking on, high carb, like popcorns and cookies and ice cream. And they ate healthy things too, but towards the end, they ate a lot of canned food, which I'm sure has tons of sugar just loaded in. And Alzheimer's is considered diabetes number 3, and it's sugar directly contributes to it, sugar consumption. So number 8 is reduced blood sugar and insulin levels. Yay! Low carb and ketogenic diets can also be particularly helpful for people with diabetes and insulin resistance, which affect millions of people worldwide. Studies prove that cutting carbs lowers both blood sugar and insulin levels drastically. Some people with diabetes who begin a low-carb diet may need to reduce their insulin dosage by 50% almost immediately. So that's why we say for people that are watching this that have not done keto before, and if you're excited about doing it, that you need, if you're on medication, you need to check with your doctor and then regularly check back in. Maybe make, for the first and second week, make appointments with them to get your blood sugar levels tested, because people drastically need to reduce them. And if you're still putting all that insulin in your body, you might not need it anymore, which is super exciting. People are able to actually go off their medications when they go on a keto diet. Studies prove that cutting carbs lowers both blood sugar and insulin. Okay, I said that already, sorry. Some people with diabetes, okay, I said that too. Sorry. In one study, people with type 2 diabetes, 95% had reduced or eliminated their glucose-lowering medication within 6 months. So you got to give it at least 6 months, people. Like, a lot of people are like, well, I did it for a month and I didn't lose any weight, or I didn't, and not a lot of people. I would say a few people, because most people do lose weight right away. But some people, I got to stop saying a lot, don't notice difference. But you got to give anything, like give it 6 months, give it a year. Like, we go through cycles for a whole year, and so jumping in and just doing it. If longevity is important to you, if good eyesight is important to you, if brain clarity is important to you, if a good mood is important to you, waking up early, feeling great, having energy all throughout the day, if any of those are important to you, which why wouldn't they be, give it a year, or at least do 4 love camps a year and just get your body attuned to it. If you take blood sugar medication, I already said this, talk to your doctor. Okay, so the summary for that, number 8, is the best way to lower blood sugar and insulin levels is to reduce carb consumption, which may treat and possibly even reverse type 2 diabetes. You don't have to go on medication for the rest of your life. And I know everybody watching right now already knows that, but this is going to go on YouTube and people are going to be watching this, and I hope some people find it, that they find the answer instead of going on pharmaceuticals, that they can do it naturally just by changing their diet. Number 9 is it helps to get rid of Candida and skin issues like eczema. And I talk about this a lot, but most of you guys are used to me saying yeast, mold, fungus, and pathogens. And so anything, people ask me, how do you get rid of Candida? You stop eating carbohydrates. And if you do eat carbohydrates, as we know, you're eating whole food carbs, like vegetables that are a little more carbohydrate-y, like a sweet potato, or quinoa, or something that's natural and whole food. You want to stay away from white foods, and you want to even white potatoes, and you want to stay away from white rice and flour and bread, as we know. But yeah, just that's going to lower, like if you have eczema or skin conditions, a lot of people have noticed that their skin clears up and it looks way more beautiful. And even if they didn't think they had eczema, just like itchiness that happens in the body goes away. And that's because those pathogens are no longer being fed. And when you stop feeding them, they just die off. And if someone really has Candida, I recommend like a full Candida cleanse, and we can talk about that later. I think I've talked about it on other podcasts for sure. But you want to start by just going keto, and that's it. You don't have to like attack your body with all these supplements and crazy things. Just stop feeding them. And that's the best way to get rid of anything that's pathogenic, is just to stop feeding it sugar, stop feeding it carbs. Yeah, I used to have eczema really bad. It was so bad I would wear long sleeves and my hands were like always oozing and my arm was oozing. It was awful. Red, itchy, scratching all the time. And that was right before I was into raw foods. And when I went raw, and I also was low carb when I was raw. I wasn't as high fat, but I still did eat a ton of nuts and seeds and olive oil, so I probably was higher fat than I thought. But it all went away. My skin cleared up, everything, just any yeast infections, everything went away. I never get bladder infections either, so that's really interesting because they kind of run in my family. And I don't get them, and I think it's because I'm just not feeding any bacteria. I'm not sure about that. But let's see, number 10, the last one, is be a happier, more balanced person. And I've already talked about that, but I don't get a lot of mood swings. I mean, sometimes I do when I'm fasting. Like I fasted these last 5 days, and I was telling Caitlin this morning I was a little cranky, but then I had some coffee and some green juice, and I felt great. And I went to the gym and sweated at the sauna and did some yoga. So I took care of myself. The celery juice, though, is just my go-to for feeling alkaline and making me feel my mood just improve. And that is keto. Celery juice is totally keto. It doesn't have any fat in it, but the alkalinity it gives you and the green hydration. So think about your cells as like when they're thirsty, they're kind of squishy, they're flat. And when you give it green juice, especially because it's like the blood of a plant, which is different than water, which has been filtered and it doesn't have any information in it. When you give it celery juice, I can feel it in me, like my whole, like I get taller, my whole body goes, yay! And I just feel so happy, and alkalinity makes us happy. And that's, those of you who follow me know, alkalinity, pure joy, our whole key to pure joy is green juice, being alkaline. So get that green juice in. So if you guys are watching now, go out and make yourself a celery juice, and you can go to our free juicing course if you're new on purejoyplanet.com and click on courses, I think online courses, and you'll find our free juicing class, and it'll tell you how to make green juice with a blender. You don't even have to have a $500 juicer or a $50 juicer. You can use your Vitamix that you already have, or any blender for that matter. So, happier, more balanced person. Yes, I totally agree to that. And I've watched Caitlin over the years too, and it was funny because, you know, we got together 5 years ago and, you know, as a business, and started working together, and she's awesome and amazing. I love her so much. And I noticed, like, when we were living together, she was eating pumpkin and sweet potatoes, and I was always like, oh, I can't really eat those, they make me sleepy. But eventually I kind of started eating more of them because we were cooking together, and I noticed I did gain weight from them, and I did get sleepier from them. And then now that she's gone keto, she can attest to this as well. Like, her mood is way better, and she feels so much more energy and so much more clarity from cutting out all those carbs, even though they were whole food carbs. Yeah, so she's kind of on the same boat with that, and just more balanced. Like, I really don't feel, and if you guys, my podcast just came out today for the 2020 wrap up, or the 2019 wrap up, and like getting ready for 2020. Caitlin and I did it together, and I said that on the podcast as well, is that I noticed that I'm just way more mellow. I used to have highs and lows, and I was like, you know, something would piss me off pretty easily in traffic or whatever. And now I'm just like, someone cuts me off, I just take my foot off the gas. Anything happens. I mean, I can't say I'm this way 100% of the time, but like 95% of the time, I'm just like, oh, that's all good. It's all cool. Like, something breaks or drops or whatever in my house, I'm not going to sweat it. And it's not just like forcing your mind to not sweat it. I know the meditation helps, but I know it's the keto diet. I know that, like, I don't have like yeasty beasties in my body getting all edgy, and I don't have the tingles up my spine that I used to get. So it's just so interesting to watch. And any of you guys who have been doing this for a while, I know Kathy and Michelina and Liz, all of you guys know this, that the longer you're on keto, you find yourself so much more balanced and easygoing. And that's how I want to be for the rest of my life. I don't want to be someone who's hyper and like irritable, or, you know, oh, got to watch out for her, she might fly off the handle. Like, who wants to be that person? So the last thing I want to announce to you guys today is about, and all of you guys that are watching right now, or most of you, I can only see 4 of you. I know there's 12 of you, 13 of you watching. Hi, 13th person. We have a 3-day challenge, and you guys can join us. You love campers, but it's designed for new people, just to get them excited about getting into ketogenic diet. And so what it is if you want to jumpstart your 2020 and try some plant-based keto-friendly recipes, join my 3-day challenge. We kick off on January 4th with our first recipe. And this link Caitlin's going to put in the down below underneath. She'll put it in, and if you're listening to this as a podcast or on YouTube, we'll put the link in underneath. And we kick off on January 4th with our first recipe, so that starts on this Saturday. And then for the next 3 days, I'll be live from my kitchen teaching you a recipe a day until the 6th. So I'll be in the kitchen doing a demo. So it might be even fun for some of you guys who are regular love campers, because why not? Why not join the crowd? And they can learn from you too, because if they're new and they have questions, you guys can all answer, because we are all in different places and we live in different areas and we come from different backgrounds. So it's always great to see you guys on Facebook, on our private Facebook group, talking about like, hey, this is what I tried, or this is what I like. So it's not just me that's a teacher, it's all of us. And then the challenge is the fun part. You'll be challenged to make the recipe I teach you that day, and then post a photo of it in our special Facebook challenge group, which is different than our regular Love Camp group, which is also a private group, but this is a whole separate page. And you'll post your photo, and then you review each recipe during the 3 days. You say if you like it or you don't like it or what you liked about it. Some people always say, oh, my family loved it, or you can tell us if you don't like it too. But we chose our best, some of our best recipes, the ones we love the most. And we'll choose a winner and who will get a very special prize. And so you can join via the link posted, which Caitlin is probably posting now. Or if you're watching later, the links will be posted in the description, which we already said. Replay of this video will be sent out via email. And if you're on our mailing list, be sure to subscribe by heading to Pure Joy Planet. So if you joined late, we're going to just check your email and we'll send this out to you. And if you're not on our mailing list, go to purejoyplanet.com and there's a box that's going to pop up fairly quickly that'll ask you to join, and then you get a free keto shopping list, which you can just take to the store, print out a few copies and take to the store with you, or put it in a page protector and use like erasable ink, and have that as your like, oh, I don't know what I need, and then you can just check your list every time. So it's like a tangible thing you can have, or take a picture of it and just always have it on your phone, whatever works for you. So that's it for today. Remember to go to the podcast, Pure Joy Podcast, and listen to mine and Caitlin's year-end review. We went through a lot of fun stuff we liked about our year and stuff we would do again and stuff we wouldn't do again. So that should be fun for everybody. And I'll see you guys next week, and I wish you guys all a super happy new year. I hope it's happy and healthy, but if you want to indulge, that's okay. Just start up when you're ready. And I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.